On November 24, 1863, high along the sheer, mist-shrouded slopes of Lookout Mountain, a critical tactical maneuver unfolded that would echo through history. What took place amid these rugged cliffs transformed a perilous clash into one of the American Civil War's most enduring legends, the Battle Above the Clouds. Following a disastrous defeat at Chickamauga, trapped Union forces retreated into Chattanooga. Confederate General Braxton Bragg besieged the city, fortifying Missionary Ridge and the sharp 1,800-foot peak of Lookout Mountain to choke off Union supply lines. To break the stranglehold, Major General Ulysses S. Grant engineered a bold double envelopment breakout, ordering Major General Joseph Hooker to launch a strike against the imposing Confederate left flank on Lookout Mountain. Lookout Mountain appeared impregnable from below, but its distinct geological layers dictated the battlefield. Rising at a steep 45-degree incline from the Tennessee River, the terrain leads to the Bench, a narrow shelf 150 to 300 feet wide where Confederate forces entrenched. Above it lay 500 feet of boulder-strewn timber, crowned by the Palisades, a sheer 60-foot rock wall at the summit. Ultimately, this clash would not take place on the summit cliffs, but along that crucial mid-mountain shelf. The high ground advantage proved to be an illusion. Confederate Major General Carter L. Stevenson placed artillery at the summit, but the mountain's convex slope created a massive dead zone. The cannons could not angle downward enough to hit infantry on the bench below. Rendered completely helpless against a climbing assault, these crest guns left the exposed Confederate defenders on the bench vulnerable to devastating Union artillery bombardment from Moccasin Bend. The battle unfolded as a starkly asymmetric clash. Union General Hooker launched 10,000 to 12,000 men across 3 divisions to sweep the slopes and capture the bench, backed by 9 artillery batteries firing freely from the valley floor and Moccasin Point. In contrast, Confederate defenders faced overwhelming odds. Out of nearly 8,700 troops, a mere 1,200 men of Walthall's brigade directly guarded the northwestern slope. Compounding their peril, the Confederate summit cannons were completely incapable of aiming low enough to cover their own exposed infantry. At 8:30 a.m. on November 24th, Brigadier General John W. Geary's White Star Division crossed Lookout Creek at Wauhatchie, advancing unopposed northeast along the mountain's base. By 10:30 a.m., Union skirmishers struck Confederate pickets just a mile southwest of Lookout Point. Outnumbered and severely outflanked, the defenders were driven steadily backward, retreating up the daunting 45-degree slope as the Union advance pressed onward. By 1 p.m. on the bench, Confederate forces attempted a desperate stand at the Craven's House farm. Although Brigadier General Edward Walthall was reinforced by John C. Moore's brigade, overwhelming Union numbers pressed their advantage. Shielded by heavy artillery fire from the valley below, Hooker's soldiers shattered the defensive line, driving panic-stricken Confederates around the mountain peak and forcing a chaotic retreat across rugged rocks and precipices. By mid-afternoon, a dense, heavy fog enveloped the upper slopes, completely obscuring the combatants from thousands of Union soldiers watching from the Chattanooga Valley below. Only the titanic crash of musketry echoing off the vertical rock walls revealed the fierce struggle taking place. Staring up into the impenetrable mist, General Meigs coined the famous phrase, "the battle above the clouds." By 4 p.m. in the timber, visibility plummeted to just a few dozen yards, dissolving the battle into blind, chaotic skirmishing. Thick fog completely paralyzed Confederate command. Brigadier General John K. Jackson remained isolated at his headquarters a mile away, failing to request crucial reinforcements. Meanwhile, though General Hooker ordered a halt to keep intermingled lines intact across the rugged terrain, his exhilarated Union soldiers pressed relentlessly forward through the mist. Realizing the bench was lost and their position untenable, General Bragg ordered the full abandonment of Lookout Mountain. As midnight struck and the heavy fog parted, a total lunar eclipse framed the sky in eerie copper light. Beneath this dim glow, the Confederate divisions of Stevenson and Cheatham quietly retreated behind Chattanooga Creek, burning the bridges in their wake. The formidable stronghold of Lookout Mountain had fallen. At 4 a.m., Anticipating a Confederate retreat, Union General Walter C. Whitaker called for volunteers to scale the 60-foot vertical palisades in the dark to verify the summit was clear. Captain John Wilson and 5 men of the 8th Kentucky Infantry stepped forward. Clutching at rocks, roots, and a wild grapevine, they crept cautiously upward through the pitch black, expecting a deadly volley of Confederate fire at any moment. As sunrise broke over Missionary Ridge, Captain Wilson stepped onto the projecting brow of Lookout Mountain, 2,400 feet above the valley, and unfurled the regiment's colors, a flag hand-sewn by the women of Estill County. As the morning mist cleared, the immense Union army below caught sight of the stars and stripes flying atop the peak. The valley instantly erupted into a roaring, sustained cheer as regimental bands spontaneously filled the basin with triumphant music. Though General Grant later dismissed Lookout Mountain as mere poetic romance, its psychological triumph proved pivotal. Beyond securing the Union's right flank, the sight of the flag rising above the clouds utterly demoralized Confederate forces while igniting an invincible spirit in General Thomas's men. This emotional surge served as the direct catalyst for their miraculous, unordered charge up Missionary Ridge that afternoon, shattering the Confederate center and decisively ending the Chattanooga campaign. But that is another story.